Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Utpatti, Sthiti, Laya, Etavo, Sya, Kalpa, Satvadhya, Prakriti, Guna, Yad, Ikshayasan, Yad, Rupam, Dhruvam, Akritam, Yad, Ekam Atmam Nanadhat Katam U Ha Veda Tasya Vartma Utpatti Sthiti Laya Hetavosya Kalpa Satvadhya Prakriti Guna Yadikshayasan Yadrupam Dhruvam Akritam Yadekam Atman Nanadhyat Katam Uhaveda Tasya Vartma Utpatti Sthiti Laya Hetavosya Kalpa Satvadhya Prakriti Guna Yadikshayasan Yadrupam Dhruvam Akritam Yadekam Atman Nanadhyat Katam Uhaveda Tasya Vartma. Utpatti of creation, Sthiti, maintenance, Laya, and dissolution, Hetavaha, the original causes, Asya, of this material world, Kalpaha, capable of acting, Sattva Adhyaha, headed by the Sattva Guna, Prakriti Gunaha, the modes of material nature, Yat, of whom, Ikshaya, by the glance, Asan, became, Yat Rupam, the form of whom, Dhruvam, unlimited, Akritam, uncreated, Yat, who, Ekam, one, Atman, in himself, Nana, variously, Adhat, has manifested, Katam, how, Uha, certainly, Veda, can understand, Tasya, his, Vartma, path. Translation. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the cause of universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although he is one, he has manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? Purport. From Vedic literature, we learn that when the Supreme Lord glances, Saikshata, over the material energy, the three modes of material nature become manifest and create material variety. Before he glances over the material energy, there is no possibility of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world. The Lord existed before the creation, and consequently he is eternal and unchanging. Therefore, how can any human being, however great a scientist or philosopher he may be, understand the ways of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this aspect is important in that the Lord, being who has created everything, he is beyond everything. So that means he can't be understood by the aspects of this creation. Because these being coming from him, they cannot actually know him. So trying to understand the Lord through intelligence, through logic, through knowledge, this is impossible, because he's beyond that. He's the source of knowledge. He is knowledge. So since he's unlimited, how can we understand him with our limited capacity? Right. So, but he being who he is, unlimited, then through his potencies, then he can reveal himself so that we can understand. So this is the inconceivable aspect, that he is one, he's non-dual, but at the same time he's expanded into many. So this aspect, though it is ununderstandable, it is achintya. You can't understand, but by the Lord's grace, one can. So therefore, one cannot understand the Lord through logic, but it's not that logic is dissatisfied in the presentation of Krishna consciousness. Right? Means it makes logical sense. But it's not through logic that you can know the Lord.
It's only by His grace. So when He reveals, then we can know, then we can understand. Otherwise, it's not possible. We can't know the Lord from simply using our intelligence, right? So that's why it's mentioned here, these so-called great philosophers or scientists, no matter how intelligent they are, and many of them are so much more intelligent than us, but still, even though they've been applying this concept for so long, they still can't understand the Lord, and never will. Only by His grace, and as we saw before, as is pointed out, that only when we hear the glories of Ananta from the devotees, then only we can understand. If we try to understand Ananta just by reading, that will not gain us anything. That's the problem. In the modern context, people read and they figure, from this I will understand, but in actuality, they can't understand. They learn some words, they catch something here and there, but they can't actually bring a full conclusion. That's the weakness. But due to pride, because they are very intelligent, and on the material platform they can do so many wonderful things, therefore it's considered, no, I can do all this. Right? This is possible for me. I can do this. But in actuality, they can't. The following quotations from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda 184-52 and 184-69 tell of the glories of Lord Ananta. Ki Brahma ki Shiva, ki Sanakadi Kumara, Vyasa Sukha Naradadi Bhakta Nama Jara. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara, Vyasadeva, Sukadev Goswami, and Narada are all pure devotees, eternal servants of the Lord. Shabara Pujita Shri Ananta Mahashaya, Sahasra Varana Prabhu Bhakti Rasamaya. Lord Sri Ananta is worshipped by all the uncontaminated devotees mentioned above. He has thousands of hoods and is the reservoir of all devotional service. Adi Deva Mahayogi Ishvara Vaishnava Mahimara Anta Inha Na Janaye Shabha. Lord Ananta is the original person and the great mystic controller. At the same time, he is a servant of God, a Vaishnava. Since there is no end to his glories, no one can understand him fully. So we have the devotees, they're worshiping the Lord, who are expansions, who are of the Surup Shakti, of the Lord's energy. But here also Anantadev expanding from Krishna. Then he is also a devotee of Krishna. So even though, as it is explained, each and every expansion of Krishna is complete and full, the example given of the candle lights so many other candles, and each candle burns with the same brightness. But there is the original candle, so their independence is not independent of Krishna's will. The reason he expands is for a particular purpose. So that particular expansion does not go outside of expressing Krishna's will. They don't do something else. Does that make sense? Even though they're fully independent, they don't go outside of this. So that means all expansions of the Lord are all devotees of the Lord, because they're all expansions of Ananta, and Ananta is a devotee. So that's the position. There's Krishna, who is the supreme. Everyone else, whether they are Swamsa or Vibhinamsa or Shakti, right? They are all servants of the Lord. That's the point. So only Krishna is the master, everyone else is servant. So he being non-different from the Lord, he's unlimited, so his glories are unlimited, so he cannot be fully understood. Sevana Shunila Ebe Shuna Takurala Atmatare Jena Mate Vaishena Patala. I have already spoken to you of his service to the Lord. Now hear how the self-sufficient Ananta exists in the lower planetary system of Patala. Sri Narada Gosai Tamburu Kari Sange Se Jasa Gayena Brahma Stane Shloka Vadane. Bearing his stringed instrument, the tumburu, on his shoulder, the great sage Narad Muni always glorifies Lord Ananta. Narad Muni has composed many transcendental verses in praise of the Lord. Shrishti Stiti Pralaya Satvadi Jata Guna Jada Drishti Pate Hai Jaya Puna Puna. Simply due to the glance of Lord Ananta, the three material modes of nature interact and produce creation, maintenance, and annihilation. These modes of nature appear again and again. So the world acts by these modes, but without Krishna's potency, they won't function. Because we have to remember the material energy is a shadow of the internal potency. So only by his glance, then there's this transformation. But he is the Shaktiman, he's the source of all this. Advitiya Rupa Satya Anadhi Mahatva Tatapi Antahaya Ke Bhuje Se Tattva. The Lord is glorified as one without a second, and is the supreme truth, who has no beginning. Therefore he is called Ananta Deva, unlimited. Who can understand him? Shuddha Sattva Murti Prabhu Dharena Karunaya Ye Vighahe Sabhara Prakasha Sulilaya. His form is completely spiritual, and he manifests it only by his mercy. All the activities of this world are conducted only in his form. Right? So the Lord's form is manifest through his internal potency by his will. And so the form is always suitable for whatever it is according to his desire that he wants to do. And everything is performed through this form. Everything else is an expansion of this form. We have to remember that the Kriya and the Jnana Shaktis, they are only in pursuance of fulfilling the desire of Krishna or the Icha Shakti. So there's no separate purpose there. So then it is the form of the Lord, because the Icha Shakti is manifesting the form of the Lord, the form of the devotees, the form of the Dham, the pastimes, their paraphernalia, their qualities, the names, all these different things that we know of, name, form, qualities, and pastime, that's all through the Lord's desire. So then the Kriya and Jnana Shaktis, which are being manifest by Ananta, they're simply in support of the Lord. So that's the point, is he is servant. He is therefore Vaishnava. Jara Yanhara Taranga Siki Simha Mahavali Nija Jana Mano Ranje Haya Kuta Hali. He is very powerful and always prepared to please his personal associates and devotees. Jai Ananta Namera Shravana Sankirtane Jai Te Mate Kena Nahi Bole Jai Te Jane Ashesha Janmera Bandha Chinde Se Shane Ate Eva Vaishnava Na Chade Kabu Tane. If we simply try to engage in the congregational chanting of the glories of Lord Ananta, the dirty things in our hearts, accumulated during many births, will immediately be washed away. Therefore, a Vaishnava never loses an opportunity to glorify Lord Ananta. Right? So he is always prepared to serve his devotees and please them, and the devotees are always interested in chanting his glories. So this is the transcendental relationship between the Lord and the devotees. The Lord is always trying to please the devotees are always trying to please the Lord. So in this way, very nicely everything goes on. It's not a matter of accomplishment. In the material world, we take it that accomplishment is actually the main point. But no, it's actually pleasing the Lord, that's the main point. Pleasing the Lord, pleasing the devotees. This is real. The accomplishment of something, that's just so that you can do that. Does that make sense? Like here, we have this nice building, so it's an accomplishment. But if it's just a nice building, what has actually been accomplished in reality? Nothing. We have a building standing. So many times you can go around, see many nice temples, all nice marble, nicely carved, very, very nice. But you go there and it's just a building. But here the reason for making the building is to glorify the Lord. Right? People will think it's a special place, therefore they are willing to hear about the glorification of the Lord. Does that make sense? So that's the whole point, is creating a place where they will think about the Lord. That's the point. But factually, the glorification of the Lord, pleasing the Lord, that can be done anywhere. But because we think it's based on accomplishment, then we respond better in such environments. Does that make sense? We have a tea stall. People also are comfortable to sit down. But what do they discuss at a tea stall? Prajalpa. But we have a nice temple like this. People will come, they'll sit down, and what will be natural to discuss about the Lord. So this reciprocation between the Lord and the devotee, this is very important. Shesha Bai Samsharena Gati Nahi Ad Anantara Namne Sarva Jivara Uddhar. Lord Anantadev is known as Sesha, the unlimited end, because he ends our passage through this material world. Simply by chanting his glories, everyone can be liberated. Right? Because by his mercy, one can give up this concept that I'm the controller and enjoyer. And then by that grace, then we can be engaged in the Lord's service. That's why you always see the Lord with Ananta. He's never separate. He's always together with him. Krishna and Balaram, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Vishnu and Anantadev. They're always together because the worship of the Lord is by the grace of Anantadev. Right? Does that make sense? So in other words, with devotion we're performing particular activities free from material desire. So this is that combination, that devotion coming from the internal potency and giving up material desire and engaging our abilities in the Lord's service. So between these two, then the worship of the Lord goes on very nicely. Ananta Prithvi Giri Samudra Sahite Jai Prabhu Dharena Gire Palana Karite. On his head, Anantadev sustains the entire universe with its millions of planets containing enormous oceans and mountains. Sahasra Fanara Eka Fane Bindu Jaina Ananta Vikrama Na Janena Ache Hena. He is so large and powerful that this universe rests on one of his hoods, just like a drop of water. He does not know where it is. Right? He's so great that one universe is sitting on his head. Here it's given as a drop of water. And it's so small, he doesn't know where it is. He just, it's there, but it's of no consequence, even though it's so large. That's his greatness. Sahasra Varane Krishna Yasha Nirantar Gaite Achena Adideva Mahi Dhar. While bearing the universe on one of his hoods, Anantadev chants the glories of Krishna with each of his thousands of mouths. So whatever he's doing as service, he's always engaged in the Lord's service. That's the principle. He's always engaged. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to see how to be engaged in the Lord's service. So we can take example from Anantadev. He is being the Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, all knowledge, all skills, all abilities are all being done by his grace. And he's always glorifying the Lord. So this ability to always remember the Lord, always being glorifying the Lord, no matter what one's doing in one's occupations and duties, then this example is set by Anantadev himself. Gayena Ananta Shri Yashera Nahi Anta Jaya Bhanga Nahi Karu Donhe Balavanta. Although he has been chanting the glories of Lord Krishna since time immemorial, he has still not come to their end. So he's unlimited. He has that unlimited knowledge. He knows this. He's been chanting since time immemorial. He still hasn't gotten to the end because the Lord's glories are unlimited. You can't get to the end. So that's the specialness of the Lord. He can chant his unlimited glories, but then there's always more. So it'll never end. Adyapiha Sesha Deva Sahasra Sri Mukhe Gayena Chaitanya Yasha Anta Nahi Dekhe. To this very day, Lord Ananta continues to chant the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he still finds no end to them. So in these considerations, we see is that there's no difference. Ananta Dev is that principle of the expansion of the Lord, who then serves all aspects of the Lord's desire. Then he is always there serving and glorifying the Lord. So in this case, then we're ending with these glories from Chaitanya Bhagavatam, that this is Nityananda Prabhu. He's always doing this. So we see is that with Krishna, you see specific prayers for Krishna, specific prayers for Rama, specific prayers for Chaitanya, or for different Vishnu, or like this. But you see, when it comes to the principle of Ananta, they're one set of verses. Talking about one aspect, they'll talk about all the other aspects. This is something unique to him. So what you may be saying the word Sankarshana, but they similarly apply to Lord Nityananda. You talk about Lord Nityananda, they apply to Anantadev. So like this, it's always bringing out that aspect, because he's the support of the Lord's pastimes. That's always there. And the particular desire, particular flavor that Krishna is tasting, then depending upon that particular avatar, then that particular aspect is being tasted. But still, the Lord is expanded as Ananta to support the fulfillment of those desires. Okay. And so then, as is mentioned here, by continuously hearing and chanting about these, then all that what is inappropriate within our heart, that will be freed. We'll be able to be engaged in the Lord's service. So that's the main thing. Being engaged in the Lord's service, by the grace of Ananta, this can be done. So any questions or comments? Yes? No? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks for your wonderful class. Maharaj, in the purport we find there is mention that how Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narad Muni, Chaturkumaras are the pure devotee, whereas we always hear that Brahma and Lord Shiva are not the pure devotees, but they are the mixed devotees. So how to...
Where have you always heard this?
Yes, Maharaj?
I said, where have you always heard this?
In many lectures we heard that Lord Shiva is not the pure devotee.
I mean, I've never heard Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. Means he's the topmost of devotees. So only pure devotees are topmost. Right? But he's dealing with the modes of nature, because that's what he does. He's a transformation. So therefore there may be that aspect of him dealing with this. Therefore he's known as Tamasi. Right? But he's a pure devotee. They have different aspects. You know, does that make sense? That they take care of different features of their variety of services. So Sadashiva is always in the topmost position. As Rudra, then dealing with the material energy, then sometimes he may be influenced, but it's not technically a fault since she is his wife. Does that make sense? So he is Purusha,
and he's dealing with Prakriti. We're Prakriti and dealing with Prakriti as if we're Purusha. That's an illusion. So he doesn't suffer from this aspect of illusion. Because the external energy is his wife. Right? So that principle of Shakti and dealing in this aspect of the Kriya and Jnana, in this case, specifically Jnana, what's the mood, what's the aspect, how you view things. Right? So in its original state, it will be the majesty of the spiritual world in relationship with the Lord, or the sweetness of the Lord in his pastimes. But in the perverted state, in the shadow form, then it will be how we're the controller and enjoyer of these. Does that make sense? So there's a slight difference there. So, but the point is this aspect is being performed for the desire of the Lord to give an opportunity for the living entities to again take up Krishna consciousness. Right? So Anantadeva is affording that. Therefore there's creation. Because Kriya then mechanically creates the things. Right? So that opportunity is being given there. And then the transformation of this principle, then you have Shiva, who then takes care of this aspect of, well, what is the actual mood? So in its pure state, then that mood is then devotional, and in the impure state, then we think we're the controller and enjoying. Does that make sense? But Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava because we don't make a distinction. Right? They're non-different. So that non-difference, that's what's special. But there's a difference in mood. So this aspect to be able to appreciate the difference and non-difference, and by the Lord's grace, then it can be appreciated. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yes. Oh, Mike is here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, just a bit confused on the Ananta Dev's residence, because at the beginning of this chapter it says below Patal Loka, there is where Ananta Dev resides, and then we read later on that on top of his thousands of hoods, the unlimited universe is rest. So just bit confused. Is he at the bottom of each universe, at the same time he's outside the universe supporting the universes?
Yes, because he's with, see, the principle is that you have the primary creation, which is performed by Karanadakshay Vishnu. So you have unlimited universes, so they're all supported or sustained by Anantadev that's with him. And then as he expands into each universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, then Ananta comes along and also then supports everything within the universe. Like that. So that's what we're meaning, is that the verses don't make a distinction between these because he's one principle. He's always the support. He's always, sustaining things through action, through the proper understanding, through the proper relationship. So that aspect doesn't change. What changes, we can see, one could say, is the flavor in which the Lord's will is being expressed. So therefore, as Krishna in Braj, there's one mood. Then when he goes to Dwarka, there will be a slightly different flavor. Then in Ayodhya, a different flavor, and Vaikuntha, another flavor. But supporting that flavor, that Ananta is always doing. That's why in verses about his glory, it doesn't necessarily distinguish between who he's serving, because the principle will remain the same. So it's not making a distinction that he's serving Garbhodakshay Vishnu or he's serving Karanadakshay Vishnu. Does that make sense? So that's why it appears it's confusing, but actually if we understand the principle on which
is being discussed, then there's won't be a confusion. It's just then you apply what is applicable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Something else? No? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Here it is mentioned, we can understand only by the Lord's grace Him.
Yes.
But we cannot understand Him logically or scriptural understanding. But on the other hand, we see why He don't gives us mercy to all so that we can understand Him. And another thing is our constant endeavor or full endeavor unto Him, then He allows us to understand Him.
Yes.
But when a sadhaka is trying too much to understand Him, but at the same time it seems that we are unable to understand Him. But what's the actual criteria to understand Him and to receive His complete mercy in the path of devotional service?
Okay. So to understand the Lord means one has to have the mercy of the devotees. Because the devotees know Krishna, and then they can give Krishna to us. Right? That's the Narottam Das Thakur mentions that he's in glorification of the Guru is that you have Krishna, and we're simply running behind you chanting Krishna. You can give him to us. Does that make sense? So by pleasing the devotees, you please Krishna, because Krishna is always pleasing the devotees. So unless you're doing what Krishna does, how you'll be able to be in a relationship with Krishna? Relationship means this common point, right? Does that make sense? If you don't have anything in common, how do you be friends? Does that make sense? Does that make sense or not? It doesn't. Okay. Let us say you have two human beings. Can they be friends? If you have two human beings, can they be friends? Yes. How about a human being and a rock? No. There has to be something in common. Right? So, the point is, what Krishna is looking for in common is he has devotion to his devotees. So if you don't have devotion to his devotees, what's the common point? You understand?
Gurudev is always showering his mercy to his disciple.
Yes, but the point is you have to be able to take it. Just like, let us say, okay, for the Raj Bhog, we cook so many wonderful things, all cooked in ghee and fried and very nicely done with spices and very wonderful. Now let's say we have somebody who's extremely sick. Even though the Maha is there, he can take it. Can he take advantage? So the point is we have to get used to the fact that I have to work. Right? Krishna, he's created this whole creation. It's not a great effort for him, but he did make an effort. So then why shouldn't we be making an effort to therefore serve and understand him? But if we're just thinking, no, I should just sit here, do nothing, and the mercy should be showered upon me, and if it's not like that, why it's not like that? But the point is it about a relationship, or it's just about getting the mercy? Sometimes this point of getting the mercy is a bit overrated. We just think, oh, I got to get the mercy. But now once you have the mercy, what are you going to do with it? You know what I'm saying? That someone got money, okay, that's considered special, to some degree. But more important is what they do with their money. Right? So therefore, what are you going to do with this mercy That's what's important. So that's what we're looking at. What is the qualification of what to do with the mercy? You're talking about getting the mercy, but having the mercy, unless you do something with it. It's not mercy that Krishna created the material world so that we have an opportunity to actually engage our independence in his service. We just want to be independent from him and enjoy. So the spiritual world, no one does that. So technically you don't actually need the material world, but Krishna makes it so we have an opportunity to be reformed, just like in a prison. Technically you don't require the prison. You could just get rid of all the criminals. But the state provides the prison so that the criminal can be reformed. But now, who gets reformed? Because everybody's being given the same opportunity of reformation. But how many criminals actually become reformed? So who's that dependent upon? The individual. So that's why we make that endeavor and Krishna reciprocates. So if you say, I'm making the endeavor but I'm not understanding much, then that means we need to improve the quality of our endeavor or the consistency of it. And I probably gives the example. Let's say you're in your room and someone goes to the door and one time knocks on the door, just once. Now you can say, hey, they knocked on the door. But at the same time, there's one knock, is it serious? So you listen, is there more? There's no more, then. But if someone keeps knocking, then you think, okay, this person wants to come in. You understand? So you have to look, in other words, instead of looking at what should the spiritual master, what should the Vaishnavas, what should Krishna be doing about my upliftment, you should look at what should I do with the mercy that they've already given and the opportunities they've given to apply in my life to take advantage of that mercy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Then that will work more nicely. That creates relationship. Otherwise, I have the mercy, but then what are you doing with it? How is that relationship? You understand? The man, he got money. Okay, he has money. He sits on the money. Now what? But he spends that for his family, his friends. He gives in charity. He does, different kinds of works with it. Then you'll say, now something's happening. That's the example. If the man is a crorepati, but he doesn't spend any money for his family, can we say he has a relationship with his family? No. So getting the mercy, yes, good, important, nice. But if you don't use that mercy to apply in service to Krishna and the Vaishnavas, then do we really call that mercy? Do we call that person a rich man who doesn't spend any money? No, we call him a miser. We don't call him a rich man. He's a crorepati. Technically he's rich, but he's not known as rich. He's known as a miser. So having the mercy, when we use it, that's when we're known as a devotee. But just getting the mercy and not using it, then what's the point? Does that make sense?
Maharaj, I have a question outside this class. Is that okay? It's different spiritual topic, but it says that the spirit soul is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair, and when the living entity goes back to the spiritual world, so how does that minute living entity relate with Krishna? Does it develop a spiritual body? If so, how does it?
It means a relationship with Krishna then in the spiritual world is expressed through the spiritual form. And that's through the grace of the internal potency. So just like Krishna is manifests through his internal potency in an appropriate form, therefore by the grace of the internal potency, the jiva will also have an appropriate form so that they can interact. Because it's not about the forms, it's not about the time, place, the different things like that. It's about the appropriateness of the various situations and activities to express the devotion between the Lord and the devotees. So then whatever is appropriate, that's what's manifest. So therefore we see Braj, even though it's the most opulent of all the kingdoms of the Lord, the opulence is actually, that's how you say, you don't notice it as much because the sweetness is the prominence. Well then when you come down to Vaikuntha, even though sweetness is there, the majesty is the prominence. So then what's appropriate for the situation, the environment, the forms that are used, the paraphernalia, they all fit the particular mood that Krishna and his devotees are interacting. Is that okay? Something else? Or? No? Okay. So, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Jainatai Gaura Premanand.